Mia, can I tell you something a little embarrassing?
Of course.
Yesterday, I made one small mistake at work. Nothing serious, nobody got upset, nobody even mentioned it. But somehow, I spent the whole evening thinking about it.
What kind of mistake?
I sent the wrong file to a colleague. I realized it a few minutes later, apologized, and sent the correct one. That was it. Problem solved.
So, why were you still thinking about it?
I kept telling myself, that was so careless. You should have checked. How could you make such a simple mistake?
Can I ask you one question?
Sure.
If your best friend made exactly the same mistake, would you say those things to them?
No, definitely not.
What would you say instead?
I'd probably say, don't worry, everyone makes mistakes.
That's interesting, isn't it? You're patient with your friends, but not with yourself.
I never thought about it like that. Why is it so much easier to forgive other people than ourselves?
That's a wonderful question. And I think many of us do exactly the same thing without even noticing. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cozy English Corner. I'm Mia.
And I'm Jack. We're really happy you're here with us today.
In today's episode, you'll learn natural English for talking about confidence, self-respect, and everyday emotions.
And together, we'll explore why loving yourself might not mean what most people think it means.
As always, stay with us until the end for our cozy word tour, where we'll revisit today's vocabulary through the stories we've shared.
If you enjoy learning English through relaxed, meaningful conversations, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to Cozy English Corner.
Before we begin, we'd like to ask you something. Are you more patient with other people than you are with yourself?
Keep that question in mind. By the end of today's conversation, you might hear your own inner voice a little differently. The funny thing is, the mistake lasted about 30 seconds. But in my head, it lasted the whole evening.
Really?
Oh yes. I got home, made dinner, and thought about it. Then I went for a walk and thought about it again. Later, I tried to watch a film, but every now and then my brain would say, "Remember what happened this morning?"
It's amazing how our minds can do that.
The strange part is that nobody else seemed to care. My colleague replied, "No problem." My manager never mentioned it. The world kept moving.
But your thoughts didn't.
Exactly. I kept asking myself, how could I be so careless? I should know better. I can't believe I did that.
There's a really useful expression for that. You were beating yourself up.
I like that expression. To beat yourself up means to keep criticizing yourself for something you've done, especially after the situation is already over.
Exactly. And it's something many of us do much more often than we realize.
I wish my brain had an off button.
Can I ask you another question?
Go ahead.
Imagine your colleague had sent the wrong file instead of you. What would you have said?
Honestly, I'd probably smile and say, "Don't worry, it wasn't a big deal."
Would you spend the whole evening thinking about their mistake?
Not at all. I'd forget about it 5 minutes later.
So why is it so much easier to forgive someone else?
I don't know.
Maybe because we're expecting ourselves to be perfect.
That's impossible.
Exactly. Sometimes we all need to give ourselves a break.
That's another great expression. To give yourself a break means to stop being so hard on yourself and accept that nobody gets everything right all the time.
I used to think exactly the way you do.
Really?
Yes, until something rather strange happened to me. A few months ago, I gave a presentation at work. I'd spent days preparing for it. When it was over, one of my colleagues came up to me and said, "That was a really great presentation."
And you said,
Oh, it wasn't that good.
"I knew it! That's exactly what I would have said."
Then my colleague looked at me and smiled. She said, "Why don't you ever believe nice things people say about you?"
That's a difficult question.
It really made me stop and think. Why was it so easy to believe my mistakes, but so hard to believe a compliment?
I do that all the time. If someone says, "Great job," I immediately start explaining why it wasn't actually that great.
Why do we do that?
Maybe we don't want to sound proud.
Maybe. But I think there's something else. Sometimes we're simply not used to being kind to ourselves.
That makes sense.
There's a useful expression here. Give yourself credit.
I like that one. To give yourself credit means to recognize your own effort or achievements instead of pretending they don't matter.
Exactly. It doesn't mean thinking you're perfect. It simply means saying, I worked hard and I'm proud of what I did.
That actually sounds much healthier than saying it was nothing.
I think so too. There's another expression that helped me. Let go.
As in, stop holding on to something?
Exactly. To let go means to stop holding on to unnecessary guilt, embarrassment, or unrealistic expectations.
That's harder than it sounds.
It is. But I realized something. If I can accept a compliment, I should also be able to let go of one small mistake.
That's interesting. We hold on to criticism, but push compliments away.
Maybe we've got it the wrong way round.
I've honestly never thought about that before. Let's try something together.
Yes, and everyone listening can join us too.
Imagine your best friend calls you and says, I failed an important exam. What would you say?
I'd probably say, I'm sorry, I know you worked hard. One exam doesn't decide your future.
Me too. I'd tell them not to give up.
Okay, here's another one. Your friend forgot your birthday. The next day they call you and apologize. What would you say?
I'd probably laugh and say, it's okay. You don't need to feel bad forever.
Exactly. One more. Your friend makes an embarrassing mistake at work. They're upset and keep saying, I'm so stupid.
I'd tell them, you're not stupid. You just made a mistake.
Now, let's change one thing. Imagine it wasn't your friend. Imagine it was you.
That's different.
What would you say to yourself after failing the exam?
Probably, you should have studied harder.
And after forgetting someone's birthday?
I can't believe I did that.
What about the mistake at work?
I should have known better.
Did you notice what happened?
I was much kinder to my friend than I was to myself.
I think many of us are.
It's strange.
The advice I'd give someone else is usually much wiser than the advice I give myself.
So here's the question. Why do we trust our inner critic more than our inner friend?
Maybe because we've been listening to that critical voice for so long.
Maybe. Or maybe we've simply forgotten that we have another voice we could listen to instead.
I like that thought.
Can I tell you something?
Of course.
I don't actually think self-love starts with being kinder to yourself.
Really? Then where does it start?
That's a good question. You know, your words reminded me of something that happened last year.
What was it?
One of my friends was moving to a new apartment. He asked if I could help. I said yes. A week later, another friend needed help painting his kitchen. I said yes again. Then my sister asked me to fix a few things around her house. Guess what I said?
Let me guess. Yes.
Every single time. Honestly, I liked helping people. It made me feel useful.
That sounds like a good thing.
Most of the time, it was. But a few months later, I had a really stressful week. I had too much work, too many responsibilities, and I felt completely overwhelmed.
Did you ask anyone for help?
Not really.
Why not?
I kept thinking, they're busy. I don't want to bother anyone. I'll deal with it myself.
That's interesting. You were happy to help everyone else, but you didn't let anyone help you.
I never noticed that until later. One of my friends actually said, if you'd asked, I would have been there.
How did that make you feel?
Honestly, a little silly. I trusted that other people deserved my time, but somehow I didn't believe I deserved theirs.
That reminds me of two useful expressions. The first is, know your worth.
I like that one. To know your worth means recognizing that your time, your feelings, and your needs matter just as much as everyone else's.
Exactly. And the second is, put yourself first.
That doesn't mean thinking you're more important than everyone else.
No, it simply means remembering that you matter too. sometimes resting, sometimes asking for help, sometimes saying, I can't do everything today.
You know, I always thought self-love was about saying nice things to yourself.
It's part of it.
But maybe it's also about believing you're worthy of the same kindness you so easily give to other people.
I think we're getting closer.
So, after everything we've talked about today, where does self-love actually begin?
You know, I don't think it begins with confidence.
Really?
No, and I don't think it begins with motivation either. Or even with positive thinking.
Then, what does it begin with?
With something much quieter. It begins the moment you start believing yourself.
What do you mean by that?
When you're tired, believe it. When something hurts, believe it. When you need a break, don't spend an hour trying to convince yourself that you shouldn't.
I think a lot of people do that.
I know I used to. Sometimes we're the first person to question our own feelings.
Almost as if we need permission to slow down.
Exactly. And that brings us to our last expression. Stand up for yourself.
That's a really useful one. To stand up for yourself means protecting your own needs, opinions, or feelings instead of always putting yourself last.
Most people think that starts when you're talking to someone else. I don't.
Where do you think it starts?
Inside your own mind. Because if you keep arguing with yourself, it's much harder to stand up for yourself in the outside world.
That's true. If I don't believe my own feelings matter, why would I expect anyone else to?
Exactly.
You know, I think I finally understand the answer. Maybe loving yourself isn't believing you're perfect.
No one is.
Maybe it's simply treating yourself like someone worth listening to.
And I think that's a much kinder place to begin. All right, it's time for our cozy word tour.
And today, every expression tells one part of the same story.
Let's begin with beat yourself up. Remember Jack's small mistake at work?
The one that nobody else even cared about, except me.
Exactly. To beat yourself up means to keep blaming or criticizing yourself after you've made a mistake.
For example, I forgot her birthday, but I don't want to beat myself up about it forever.
Our next expression is give yourself credit.
That reminds me of your presentation. Someone gave you a compliment, and you almost refused to believe it.
To give yourself credit means recognizing your own effort or achievements instead of immediately dismissing them.
Sometimes a simple thank you is enough.
Then we talked about give yourself a break.
If my colleague had made my mistake, I'd have told them, don't worry, it happens.
So maybe we should say that to ourselves sometimes too. To give yourself a break means to stop expecting perfection and treat yourself with a little more patience.
Next is know your worth.
That came from your story about never asking for help.
It means remembering that your needs matter just as much as everyone else's.
After that, we had put yourself first.
Not all the time, just when you genuinely need rest, support, or a little space.
Exactly. Sometimes saying no to one thing means saying yes to your own well-being.
Then we learned stand up for yourself.
It means protecting your feelings, your time, and your boundaries instead of always putting yourself last.
And finally, let go.
To let go means stopping yourself from holding on to old mistakes, unnecessary guilt, or harsh thoughts that no longer help you.
Maybe that's the hardest one.
Perhaps, but it might also be the most freeing.
7 useful expressions.
And one important reminder.
The way you speak to yourself matters.
Because you'll probably hear that voice more than anyone else's.
You know, I'd like to go back to the question you asked me at the beginning.
The one about your best friend?
Yes. You asked if I'd ever speak to my best friend the way I spoke to myself.
And what do you think now?
No, I never would. And I think I finally understand why that question stayed with me all episode.
Why?
Because maybe becoming your own friend is where self-love really begins.
I like that. Not because you'll never make mistakes again, but because you'll stop believing that every mistake says something about your value.
I think I'll still make mistakes tomorrow.
So will I.
But maybe tomorrow, I'll speak to myself the same way I'd speak to someone I truly care about.
That's a beautiful place to start. Before we go, we'd love to leave you with one final question. What's one thing you wish you'd stop criticizing yourself for?
Take a moment to think about it. Your answer might tell you exactly where you need a little more kindness.
Thank you so much for spending this time with us here at Cozy English Corner.
If you enjoyed today's conversation, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments.
Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and stay cozy.